All righty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Good Friday. My name is Casey Halpern, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my good friend, founder of Badlands, the #1 subscription Jets podcast, Joe Caporoso. Joe, always a pleasure to see you. How are we doing this Friday afternoon?
I'm doing well. I wish we had some more positive Jets football news to discuss, but I'm always happy to join you and chop it up heading into another NFL weekend.
It's going to be a fun weekend, hopefully. Hopefully the rain gets out of here quickly for a nice Sunday afternoon into a nice Sunday evening at MetLife.
Yes.
Before we get into it, do we want to talk some week 4 first, or we want to dive right into Sunday night?
Let's go right into Sunday night. We could close a week 4.
Let's do it. Okay. So the first true Sunday night football game for the New York Jets since 2011. The first NBC broadcasted game for the New York Jets since the butt fumble. It's been a long time coming, and it feels like we are getting the short end of the stick here because we have to sit through Zach Wilson versus Pat Mahomes and not Rodgers through Pat Mahomes.
It's a real bummer. I think all Jet fans were incredibly excited to be back on Sunday Night Football, be back in prime time, and now it feels like, understandably, most of the fan base is dreading this game. You got the Chiefs, who are back to looking like a buzzsaw. You know, they just ran a team out of the building, and the Bears, who are probably the only team this year who maybe look worse than the Jets outside of maybe the Broncos. I'm just saying that in the vacuum of the past 2 weeks. And you have a situation at quarterback where everyone is counting the seconds until Zach Wilson is benched. If they would have signed Trevor Siemian 2 weeks ago, I think he probably would be starting this game. Unless Zach has the game of his life. I'm assuming Simeon's going to be the starter against Denver the following week. Maybe that's too presumptuous and they wait till the bye week, but I think it's coming sooner rather than later. It's hard to see how the Jets stick around in this game. I think the only hope is that this is, nothing to lose. No one expects them to not even win, but to even be competitive.
No.
Is there any fight in this team? And even, I don't even know if having fight matters or not, because I do think they fought against New England. It's just when you're so bad at quarterback, it's such a difficult thing to overcome. And, New England's offense is not Kansas City's offense, so it's going to be a much taller task for the Jets defense this week.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to offenses, it's probably like they're playing a different sport compared to the Chiefs. The Jets aren't going to get away with just allowing the Chiefs to 13 points because that's not happening. They're going to have to score. They're going to have to pass on first down. They're going to have to do things that have probably made them uncomfortable the past 2 weeks if they want any shot of keeping this one close. I mean, the spread is, I think, 9.5. So that tells you what Vegas.
That feels low to me too at 9.5.
I thought it was going to be like 11, 12.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know. Maybe they're giving us a bit of a home field advantage for the first Sunday Night Football game. And
three points for Taylor Swift in MetLife.
Yeah, we'll get to Taylor Swift. But if we want to stay in the game, the entire Jets game plan on offense has to become on the offense. It has to be aggressive. They can't just hold back. They can't play with their hands tied behind their back just because they're scared someone's going to force a turnover. Unfortunately, we have to be aggressive here. Zach Wilson has to kind of take the training wheels off of himself and has to kind of get that gunslinger mentality back that we saw glimpses of in year 1 against the Titans, against the Bucks, and even there was a couple drives up here and there against the Falcons in London. But we've seen it. Is it very good? No, but that's the mentality he's got to bring on Sunday if we want any chance.
Yeah, it's kind of you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with Zach.
Right.
If he's too conservative, the Jets can't score any points, and he's still really bad. If he's too aggressive, there's going to be a bunch of mistakes, but at least they're a little more entertaining. And I think for him, you would imagine potentially his last start, primetime, going against Mahomes, he's going to be a little more aggressive in trying to put the football down the field. Yeah, and I also think for the Jets, throw the 9 route to Garrett Wilson once a quarter, just so they have to back off a little bit and Breece Hall has some space in the box. If you have a trick play, this is the week to use it. If you're finally going to stop being stubborn and put your guys with some real speed out there and Hardman and Gibson on offense, this is a week to do it. You hope guys like that can break a big one, can shake free, can rip off a huge play. And for Zach, he has to find a way to loosen the box up a little bit because teams are just overstacking against the run and there's nowhere for Breece Hall to go. And even if these end up being incomplete, or maybe they just draw a pass interference, you got to at least take a couple swings down the field, and you can't just have these consistent 3 and outs where the Jets are consistently playing behind the sticks and just setting their defense up to fail.
You got to show them some looks, right? Like, even if, as you said, even if they fail, you got to be just aggressive in how you try and attack the Chiefs. Just keep them on their toes somewhat. Like, the last 2 weeks, it's been pretty predictable. It's run, pass on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and you're throwing the ball short of the sticks every time. I mean, it was 4th and 10 to end the game, and they threw a 1-yard completion to Tyler Conklin. And
I still have PTSD from that rep. I just still haven't wrapped my head around how disgusting that was.
That was just like, it was worse than Kirk Cousins' 4th and 10 throw to TJ Hawkinson in the wild card game. That was 3 yards short of the sticks. This was 9 yards short of the sticks.
It leaves me at a loss for words. I just don't know what we're thinking and what we're doing here at a certain point. And I think that was probably, I've said this before, but probably the straw that broke the camel's back in Zach Wilson playing for any extended period of time here. So yeah, this is it's a tough one. It's a tough one that this is the return to primetime. I wish it was like the Raiders game or maybe the Chargers game even, to have to get the Chiefs. Never mind all the other hysteria that's going on around this game. It's a tall task for the Jets. And, my hope is after this game, if this game goes the way we expect, this should hopefully be rock bottom for the season. And you start getting a little better with a get well game against Denver and maybe a different quarterback under center. I
think that's, I guess, the optimistic viewpoint. I'm not sure if I want to get into the pessimistic one that I probably share. Trying to be a little more confident here, but you're probably right. This is probably the end of the road for Zach Wilson, and would have to imagine it's probably the end of the road for him as a Jets quarterback, because look, if all things kind of bottom out, and I don't know if there's going to be a regime change or whatever happens in the offseason, it's hard to envision him returning as just the backup quarterback. And I'm not sure they're going to pay a third string quarterback, I don't know, $8 million, whatever he's due in the fourth and final year of his contract. They're not going to pick up the player option, obviously, but it truly could be just the end of the line for Wilson as a quarterback in the NFL even. So now is a better time than never to kind of leave it out there. But that also comes with Martini Nate's got to be a little bit more creative with the play calling on Sunday. It really stinks that this is the SNF game, because we've waited a long time to be featured on NBC. And to have a Rodgers versus Mahomes matchup robbed from us to watch Wilson and Mahomes just doesn't really sit right with me. And I also am biased. I love Sunday Night Football. I used to work for Sunday Night Football. I worked there for 5 seasons, and not once did the Jets ever appear on Sunday Night Football. So kind of stinks. But
and now we're back. Baby. Nate Hackett and Zach Wilson.
Nate Hackett, Zach Wilson, and Taylor Swift in the press box. America, rejoice. I mean, the ratings are going to be through the roof. The people at NBC, my former colleagues, have to be absolutely thrilled with what's about to happen. It's going to shatter probably every regular season single game viewership record, if I had to imagine.
A bit of a patently ridiculous situation, but of course it times up with playing the Jets and playing Zach Wilson that the entire world will be tuning into this game even more so than usual just because of Taylor Swift.
It's truly amazing. The Swifties really show up and show out. During the summer when I was doing a stream, I said, Taylor Swift literally has the world wrapped around her finger, and that still remains true. All right, before we jump into week 4, let's talk some prop markets that we have for Sunday Night Football. Let me pull them up quickly. We got a bunch right now, and then we'll go from there. Let me present my screen.
Sounds good.
Do we have any faith in Mecole Hardman and Jeremy Ruckert and maybe Xavier Gipson actually playing offensive snaps before we get into this? I know there's been a lot of coach speak, but there was that last week as well.
I think we'll see Hardman, maybe like 10 to 12 snaps and a manufactured touch or two. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, though. I do think they'll finally unthaw him this week against his former team.
You gotta. Speaking of former teams, I actually did take just a sprinkle of a 4-leg parlay of anytime touchdown scores, guys going against their older team. So if you want to tail with me, it's 10 to win.
I like that.
$3,000. Adam Thielen against the Vikings. Zeke versus the Pats, Calvin Ridley against the Falcons, and of course, Mecole Hardman against the Chiefs.
Oh,
I guess we'll coin this one the never ever getting back together anytime touchdown parlay.
Yeah,
nice.
It's Hardman breaking through with a touchdown against his former team would be a nice subplot, but man, he went from a guy who was out there all preseason to just being completely buried. It's bizarre, very bizarre.
He went from a guy that played 50% of the snaps for the best offensive team in football for the past 4 years and just can't manage to see the field. But our frustrations are obviously growing, as everyone can see. The Discord is not happy, and rightfully so. But let's get into the props. We think Travis Kelce is going to score a touchdown?
Yes, I do. That's going to happen one way or another.
Pat Mahomes, 275 passing yards.
That's a risky one just because if this game gets out of hand, like, does he play the whole game? Are they going to be a little, run heavy? I wouldn't touch that one because I could see this game being like 24-3 at halftime and they really take their foot off the gas in the second half with Mahomes.
I agree. I would go no here. I think I like under 275. Kelce, 75 receiving yards.
This feels right. Jets are going to have a hard time matching up with him. Maybe they travel sauce a little bit, but I doubt it. But they generally over these last couple of years have not fared awesome against tight ends. So I think Kelce feels like 85 and a touchdown.
Somehow it's just like I am like getting PTSD of like watching Gronk just like tear the Jets apart like up the seam, and this will probably happen on Sunday night. All right, this one's interesting. Zach Wilson to have 175 passing yards. So this one's kind of correlates to what we discussed, kind of taking the training wheels off of Wilson. Will the offense become more aggressive? It's truly his last stand. So what are your thoughts here?
I like that. I think with a likely long run of garbage time in this game, and Garrett Wilson always a threat to do what he did against Dallas and, rip off an 80-yard touchdown, I could see Wilson getting to like 190, 200 yards in this game, if not a little more.
I think I'm with you. I'm optimistic he might actually play one of his best games of all in his career. I can't believe I just said that, but
wow, look
it might come in garbage time. But
starry-eyed optimist here.
I'm trying to be. He stinks, but listen, I can't just beat myself up for this team that we've been diseased to root for. The Taylor Swift special. Travis Kelce to have 50 receiving yards and DeAndre Swift to have 50 rushing yards.
I like it. I mean, Swift's been awesome for Philly. I mean, what did they trade like a pick like 3 years from now for him? I like that. I like that one.
I love this one. Swift, I think, has averaged like 150 rushing yards the past 2 weeks. I think he had $175 2 weeks ago and like 125 last week. So I think Kelsey's going to get his. Swift to get 50 seems light. So yeah, give me the T Swift special. And last but not least, the bet with Badlands prop. Will Garrett Wilson score a touchdown this week?
Yes. Even if it's in garbage time, I think he's going to get another one. If there's anyone who's going to score a touchdown for the Jets, it's going to be Garrett Wilson with Nick Bawden in a distant second. But yeah, I like that one. And Wilson's so good that, again, if they get in the red zone, he's going to get those targets. He's also a threat to break off a big play at any part in the field.
I love it. I'll take Wilson to score just because I want to ride with the Badlands crew. And Alex, who's watching, said, we need some profit exchange over under odds for Jets QBs that take a snap on Sunday. I don't know if that's a regulated market, but we'll see what we could do there. My hope is, I guess, that it's not two. I guess maybe hoping Wilson plays a good first half and we don't need to see Tim Boyle because, let's be honest, I'm not sure if Tim Boyle. Yeah, he's Tim Boyle.
It's Tim
exactly.
Boyle.
And it seems like Simeon's going to be inactive.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now the Jets are 8.5-point underdogs plus 350 to win.
Why is this line getting closer? If anything, I don't know. There's some weird vibes on this game. I don't know. I think they're going to lose comfortably. I just wonder, maybe you get the Chiefs just like sleepwalking a little bit early, and it's like you get a funky like special teams or defensive touchdown, and they could cover an 8.5. But man, I would go the other direction with this one.
Look, if I were to actually bet on this game, I'm going to hate myself. I'm not giving this out because I've made a fool of myself one too many times already this season. I gave out the Broncos last week at +7, and they got absolutely blitzed 70-20. So, but if I were to bet this game, and if I were to take my just fandom hat off, I would probably just bet the Jets at +8.5. Maybe wait till it gets back to 9. It would be a hold my nose game. I wouldn't choose to bet it, but I don't know. It seems like it could be one of those games where it catches people by surprise, right? Like everyone expects the Chiefs to come into MetLife and just dominate. Taylor Swift in the box, screaming, "Let's effing go" after a Kelsey touchdown. The entire world laughing at the Jets on Sunday Night Football and their return for the first time in 12 years. It's lining up for everything to go against the Jets. And that's why I kind of think, hey, you know what? Maybe the Jets can pull a rabbit out of their hat and cover. I'm not saying they're going to win, but cover.
Yeah. A little friskier than expected. Crazier things have happened. Sometimes these games, like you never know. Plus, there's like some backdoor action if they pull Mahomes, and we'll see.
We might see
I like the prop. I like the prop angle though. We'll hit the props hard.
Hit the props hard. Get that bet with Badlands prop in. Garrett Wilson score touchdown. Ride with Joe and myself and the rest of the community. What's your favorite underdog aside from this game this week?
Man, the Cardinals killed me last week in Survivor, as I'm sure they did many people. I tell you, I think the Texans are going to be frisky against the Steelers. The Texans have been a tough matchup every week. I'm keeping an eye on that game. I could see them being a difficult matchup for Pittsburgh, who I think will be a pretty popular, pick and a pretty comfortable favorite. That's really the main one that kind of jumps off the page. It's kind of a bit of a weird slate. I mean, really the game of the week is far and away going to be Dolphins and Bills. And I as it stands right now, I have to like the Dolphins in that one because they just look like a buzzsaw, but you're playing up there. Things weird can happen in Buffalo, but that's really the marquee game of the day.
That should be a good one. I'm kind of glad the Jets are on Sunday night, so full attention could be on that game and everything else. It's kind of nice to just not have to think about the Jets during the day.
Yes.
But I would, if I were betting that game, I'd probably lean Bills just because they're at home. But then again, Miami's hungry to win there. They kind of lost what was a really close game in the wild card without Tua last year. So I feel like could get some revenge on Sunday, but following up a 70-point win would be with a win against the Bills would be as impressive as it comes.
I don't know if the Jets are going to score 70 points this season, never mind in a single game.
I have a great question for you. Speaking of 70 points in the season, what happens more on Sunday night? NBC shots of Taylor Swift or Jets first downs?
Oh, it's definitely shots of Taylor Swift. It's going to be every 10 seconds. So even if the Jets were a normal, competent offense, I think I'd still go with T Swift in that one. So I think that's a slam dunk going to her.
All right, Travis Kelce receptions, Jets first downs. Because Taylor Swift.
I think Jets will narrowly get that. They'll get some garbage time first downs and stuff. Kelce 5 for 85 and a touchdown. The Jets will get more than 5 or 6 first downs.
Oh, all right. Before we go, lay out for me, what are the keys in order for the Jets to win on Sunday and pull off what would be an incredibly shocking upset?
They need an all-time defensive performance. Their defensive line would have to be game wreckers, force a couple turnovers, be right in Mahomes' face the entire game so he makes a couple mistakes. They'll need a defensive or special teams touchdown, preferably early in the game to kind of get the crowd into it and get everyone hanging around. You need special games from Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, helping elevate Zach Wilson rather than it being vice versa. And then, the longer you hang around, the tighter the Chiefs get. And all of a sudden you're in a game and something weird happens late. Something bounces your way. There's always a weird upset every single year, a weird upset or two where the spread is this big. I mean, again, you saw what happened with the Cardinals-Cowboys game last week. So I think the key is don't be down 10-0 in the first 5 seconds of the game. Can you have something break your way early that allows you to play with a lead a little bit and puts a little confidence in the team? Then maybe you get an interesting game.
Can we see this on Sunday? Do you think this is possible? I'm pulling it up. It's sickening that we have to resort to highlights from 2 years ago, but any shot we could see something like this.
I would love it, man. I was at this game, and I was so excited in the moment. Like a damn fool. It could happen. That broken plays, Zach could chuck it. He almost completed that Hail Mary. There's no doubt about that. So I do think he'll chuck up a few. Some will get caught, some will get intercepted, some will draw penalties. At least it'll be entertaining, or more entertaining than what we saw last week.
Just do the Flacco, throw it all the way downfield and get that DPI. Come on.
You never know. Why not?
It's crazy. All right. Thanks for doing this, Joe. Before we go,
Absolutely.
What do you have to plug? Where can people find you? Let the people know.
Badlands, baby. Patreon.com/Badlands TOJ. Daily podcast, daily video, daily articles, a lot of content cranking on the feed. We'll probably get the audio version of this also live over the weekend, along with our 12-pack sponsored by Profit Exchange of our picks against the game. And then Connor and I will have our post-game party or post-game therapy after, along with our weekly War Room video. So check it out and give us a subscription. And it's been fun watching the community grow, not just on Patreon, but in the Discord.
It's awesome. Discord's always popping, especially on Sundays, even during the week. If you ever want to just kill a couple minutes, just pop in there. It's a good time. A lot of personalities, a lot of characters. But love doing this. We'll chat soon, and go Jets, and may all our bets be profitable this weekend.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Later.